get started with this. Have a smorgasbord of a session here. Let's get everything configured where we need to. Okay. And I need to go get a drink. And I do not mean an adult one. I will be right back. Make it large. Well, I never, but you better believe this is large. Yeah, baby. And I drink diet drinks, so it could be the size of a house, and it's not going to make me any fatter. So I'm a I'm a devout follower of the religion of Coke Zero. It's funny. I was a diet Pepsi drinker for many years. So let's back up since we're going to talk about soda. I try not to drink that much soda anymore, but way back in the day, I was a Pepsi drinker. I remember this in the early '90s. We sat down and we played this. I mentioned this before. We played this naval war game on a floor, which I don't know if I could handle doing that now. It wouldn't be worth it. But for 26 hours straight, we played on the floor and went through a case of regular Pepsi. You know how many calories are in that? A lot. And yeah, so about 1997, I switched to diet and I lost like 50 pounds in a month. 50 pounds? Maybe it was like 30 pounds. It was a lot just doing that. But, I was young, so I still had a metabolism. I was under 30 at the time. And I don't drink regular drinks anymore. And then around 2000, I'm just guessing here, around 2000, they changed the sweetener that's in Diet Pepsi, and it's Splenda. It sucks now. I mean, I hated Diet Coke, and basically the sweetener that was in Diet Pepsi is in Coke Zero now, and the one in I don't know what was in Coke Zero before, but if I'm gonna have any soda, it's Coke Zero. Now I do sometimes. A couple of years ago, I actually enjoy a regular Coke. But what was happening is it would give me a headache because I basically have no sugar. I never have any sugar, so I'm fat from bread and being 50 and not moving around as much as I should. And portion control. I don't mind eating healthy, but I don't want to eat a cracker sized meal. I want to eat, I have no problem eating healthy. Just like I went to Burger King, right? And I decided to get a double Whopper. Well, I didn't get any fries with that, so just avoiding fries just gets rid of a lot of that stuff. And I basically didn't want to. I wanted to just start painting, so I'm like, let's just grab something on the way home and get to it. Okay, you guys know I don't cook, so I didn't feel like making another freaking sandwich, and just wanted to have something different and excellent. So yeah, of course I make it large. Why would I have a small drink? Rants. Nah, yeah, I don't want to do a rant. I could do a small one, but I'm not going to do a video. It's a rant. Okay, so Starbucks, right? What are those people smoking, right? Their sizes. The tall is the shortest freaking one, and it's called tall, right? What's the one in the middle called? Grande. Grande means big. It's not the biggest one. It's the second from the smallest one. Venti, who knows what the hell that means? It means, I think it means, I don't know what it means. Anyways, it's like 20 something ounces or whatever. And then Trenta, oh, that's easy. That's 30. Nope, it's like 31 ounces. And I always get the biggest one there. But, my coffee that I have is just cold, black, and bitter. So I don't have any sweetener in it at all. I'm trying to cut any of that artificial sweetener because, I don't want to die from cancer. I want to get a good old-fashioned American heart attack. So, anyhow, yeah, I'm trying to cut down the artificial sweetener. But anyhow, I don't want to get in a rant thing. I'd be too good at it. it's part of my comedy act. You know, I'm going to retire. That's what I'm going to do, comedy. You know, by the time I get around to doing that, nobody will laugh at my stuff because I'm so old school that nobody finds that stuff funny anymore. I mean, I was raised with stuff like, you know, Don Rickles and stuff, insulting people, and, you know, I mean, I grew up, you make fun of everybody, and at the end of the day, you know, you just have a good time. You know, it's all fun, but that's not, people can't handle that anymore. Um, I come from a generation where you just got freaking spanked by your parents if you misbehaved, you know, so. I just turned 50, but I had an older dad, so I'm equivalent to maybe like a 63-year-old, the way I was raised, maybe a little older than that, so. I say all the time I'm old school, and, you know, I'm proud of it. Okay, so, here are the nights that we finished. We did a little video, a little 15-minute video yesterday, and kind of went through the process because you guys are just, some of you guys are just getting terrorized by the humidity or the cloudiness or whatever. I've never experienced that, so you guys are doing something wrong. I mean, there's not many more places that are more humid than where I live. I mean, maybe, you know, Panama, Brazil, people that are doing wargaming in Brazil, they probably have a more wet environment. If they're up in the Amazon basin, they're in Manaus, any wargamers in Manaus. But I've never had an issue with cloudiness at all. So I don't really know what the issue is, and maybe I can shed some light and you guys can solve that. You're either using old product. I honestly, I think you guys are, people that are having that issue are spraying too much spray too close to the figures, and I think that's probably the issue, because I watched my video that I did and I'm like, man, I really don't spray a whole lot of spray on them. It's almost kind of like a fixer there for my paint, but I don't know, hopefully that'll help you guys solve it, because there's no reason to undo everything that you've laboriously worked on. Okay, so these guys are completely. So the next thing I'm going to do is, and you don't have to do this step. I started. Well, you don't have to do any of the things I do. I mean, it's up to you. It's a free country, right? At least when I was raised, it was. Just do whatever you want to do, right? As long as you're not inflicting on it somebody else's freedom, because that's a no-no. Let's move these guys out of the way. And can I get away with putting these on the computer? Okay. Hopefully it's not very heavy. So what I've started doing, and I didn't always do this, is when you put these guys together on a stand, which is one of my favorite things to do. Here's the two stands, the two Litco stands that they're going to go on. Is sometimes it's difficult to get in between their legs and so forth. So I've started painting the ground that's here on the casting already in the base color of the brown, because if I miss a spot, it's not the end of the world. But if I don't do that, I've got to get up all the way up into the hoof and all kinds of things, and it has been an issue. Just something I can do to speed up the process, you know. So yeah, that's what it is. So we're going to do that first. We're going to paint that brown, good old chocolate brown, because these are going with the standard basing for most armies. And while that dries, we're going to go ahead and do our, see, this is talking about multitasking. I want to stay busy the whole time. So while that is drying, I'm going to go ahead and glue my spearmen to pennies. And while that's drying, I'm going to go ahead and base color the bowman in black, the base primer. And then when that's drying, I'll come back and base these guys. So that way we don't have any dead time. At least that's what the plan is. It's apt to change at any moment, as always. So let's get our wet palette that I have sent over here to the nether regions. All right, and let's come up here. Rick did that video of a drive-through, and that's what. If you guys don't know what the hell we were talking about, he did his rant. Although I honestly I listened to it without the volume on, so I don't know how over the top you were on that. But I have had several drive-through incidents, and I don't know. My life's not that colorful, really, to have that much material. I think that's a good thing, but everybody has their pet peeves, right? Like, what's your biggest pet peeve? Mine is being held hostage. I would make a horrible hostage, you know. And the problems I have had in a drive-through, there's only been three issues that I can think of at a drive-through. Two of them I couldn't leave. You know, it's like you can't get frustrated and leave because you're being held hostage. And I made a boo-boo. I didn't take my contacts out. Crapsicle. All right, I'll be right back because I need my supervision to do that. I'll be right back. Let's just pop these eyeballs out and we'll go back to being nearsighted. Man, that case on the glasses is really, really tight on there. Okay. All right. Right. Yeah, I don't do much drive-through. Pretty much the only drive-throughs I go through are Arby's and Chick-fil-A. But Chick-fil-A is just it's impossible to get through there. And Arby's has been, you know, the good thing about Arby's is I'm like, okay, I am not a picky eater, okay, but there's a couple things. Not only do I not eat them, I refuse to eat them, and one of them is ketchup. I've thrown a burger out the window because it had ketchup on it, and I went down the road and I couldn't turn around. I was like on the interstate. It's like nobody's making me eat ketchup. I'm fine with all the other condiments, but I cannot stand ketchup. It's the only tomato product that I do not like. I love tomatoes. I love marinara, cocktail sauce, any of that stuff. All the barbecue things, no problem. Ketchup, I will throw a baby out the window. No, I'm kidding. But I've had that incident. So I went to, I think through a Wendy's or something like that, and I said, I guess it's going to be a fast food theme. Thanks, Rick, for your input on that. This channel is going downhill now. But I asked for a burger plain or whatever because you got to keep it simple, because if you start, well, I want this, I don't want that, I want this. It's like, figure, okay, don't put anything on it other than the meat and the cheese, okay? Just to keep it simple. I was in a rush. I was going home or something like that on a road trip. I go through the drive-through and I didn't check it. And I get down the road and where the heck is my paper towels? Down here. And I'm like 5 miles down the road, open it up, and I'm like, oh man, I can't even stand the smell of ketchup. It must be the sugar that's in it and the white vinegar, because those together, they just make like a toxic thing. So, I just hate ketchup. And mustard, the problem with mustard is if you use the cheap mustard, it just makes everything taste the same. Like, I can imagine a ham sandwich or a shit sandwich. They'd be the same if they got yellow mustard on them because it's just too powerful. But like good German, like the grainy, what do you call it? The one that's got the bits, like you go to the store and they got that brand called Engelhofer. That stuff's amazing, The ones with the little seeds. Yeah, that's good stuff. But anyhow, what was I saying? Yeah, so I couldn't even stand the smell. I'm like, I just threw that thing out the window. So I couldn't. I was so pissed. I'm like, nobody that Nobody that's working at a drive-through is going to make me eat ketchup. You know. How did we even get on that? Oh, as far as Arby's, yeah, you can't screw that up, right? You know, you just get the big meat thing with all the meat you can throw on there, and that's good. No fries, because that's what you need to cut out, man. The fries have zero nutritional value. So that's the stuff that's really bad. But I don't like fast food. But they're always saying in this country, we need to get people to eat healthier. You know the secret? I've got solutions here. Uh, Dusseldorfer mustard is the best. Well, they don't have that here. They wouldn't be able to handle a little umlaut. They couldn't print. They're not allowed to print umlauts on things here. People freak out. Um, you want to get people to eat healthier? Ban drive-through windows. Because the only reason that we don't want to get out of the car. We don't want to get out of the car and then sit around waiting around, standing, awkwardly. We'd rather just be in our car and deal with that. So if you just ban drive-through windows, then people have to get down to get food, and at that point, it's like, well, you might as well. They're not going to go to the easiest solution. So, at least that's my opinion. Although I said that, and then I'm like, we shouldn't be banning anything. So, nix that. Forget what I said. But it's the drive-through windows. Like, I was tired of dealing at work. I work in an environment where I'm in and out, which is why I'm always complaining about the rain lately, because it makes a big impact. If I have a day where there's lightning, that just makes a huge difference on my quality of life at work. Let's put it that way. So, I don't want to go anywhere. I go straight home and change. And it's not that I'm a mess, but I'm in and out. I don't smell great. I mean, I don't smell like BO. I'm not that much of a gamer. But, I smell like I've been outside. I don't want to go to the mall or something like that. Go shopping after work, preferably. So, I'm going to grab something on the way home. Let's go through a drive-through. That's the only reason, you know. I'm not going to get down. Anyhow, that's Rick's fault. We're talking about food. But yes, I got a large drink. I always get a large drink. Always. Or extra large. But it doesn't have sugar in it. Ever. So, I was enjoying, a regular soda from time to time, and I would get this massive headache, and I couldn't figure out what it was. I'd go to Historicon, right? And we're busy playing. We're busy playing. Lunchtime comes about. I'm like, I want to go. I don't want to go get something to eat. I want to. I want to go shop the vendors. So I'll just pick up some M&Ms and a regular soda because that'll fill me in. Well, the next thing you know, I've got a migraine of unusual size because I'm not used to that sugar and I don't know how to deal with it. And it's impossible to get rid of it because you basically have to flush it out of your system. So the next thing you know, for the next 3 days, I've got a migraine and my convention experience is ruined until I realize what the problem was. I'm ingesting all of this sugar that I never have. So I try to avoid sugar like the plague. Now, if I do have sugar, like out of fruit and stuff like that, but, added sugar, none of us need that, you know. I don't add sugar to coffee because coffee, the whole point is to, wake the dead, right? But if you put sugar, uh, us fatter guys will fall asleep. At least I do. So it kind of defeats the purpose of having the caffeine in the first place, which is why I never understood donuts. Um, I've pretty much got a cast iron stomach. I can handle anything, but if I eat a donut, which I never do, I get heartburn within 30 seconds. And I think it's the overly sugared, overly larded, whatever the hell a donut is made out of. That's that's bad news. So I never have those. What other kind of food should we talk about? Um, I don't know. No fear of falling asleep today. I got to stay up a while today because my daughter is competing. The girls aren't here because she's competing in the Junior Olympics in synchronized swimming. They made that cut, so they're in Colorado Springs this week. And today is the first day they're competing, and they're competing at 8 o'clock their time. So I got to stay up till like 10 just to watch them live, which I'm being told there's a link. So um, we'll be on here at least till 9, I would imagine. So try to get stuff done. Yeah, sugar, I never have it. Never have it. And it's an addiction. It can be an addiction. I don't have very many sugary things, but if I do, it's something like ice cream. There's a particular grocery store that's a chain here that's um I visit a restaurant so seldom that I want to make it an event. I'm walking in. Sugar made me what I am today, a diabetic. I never have it. It gives me a headache, and I detest. That's why that's why I don't drink a lot. You wouldn't think, but every time we game, that's why I'm drinking. But it's just because the other people are drunks that I game with. Not that I need to. I needed to drink about 2 hours ago, but I like to talk about drinking and never do. And it's because constantly you're fighting that dehydration, and you get a headache, and you can't. Just not a hangover, just a little annoying headache that just bothers you all day long. So, um, yeah, I hate headaches. And sometimes you end up outsmarting yourself. Um, I had an incident in January. I went to a wedding, and January this year. I went to a wedding, and in the rehearsal dinner, we had rented out a bar, and it was just us, and we were there, just kind of hanging out. And then I started thinking, there wasn't that many people, but, the whole COVID thing and all that stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to get sick. Um, so I had been taking vitamin C just to kind of bolster up my immune system. Because when I go to big cities, anyways, pre-COVID, you always get some kind of a sniffle, just because you're exposed to different germs, what have you. So that night, after the party, after the rehearsal dinner, um, I I second guessed myself and said, you know what, I should take some vitamin C now just to make sure. Well, what I didn't realize is I had been dehydrated, and I took it on an empty stomach. I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning, thought I was gonna freaking die. And that's what I'd gotten so dehydrated, and I was vomiting so much I didn't have anything to vomit. And all of it was because I was so worried about getting sick that I ended up giving myself a deadly dose of, I mean, it's not like I took 20 things of vitamin C. I just took the normal dose and swallowed it. You know, and we didn't have that much to drink, but I got dehydrated, and it took 8 hours to fix itself. So that's the worst I've felt recently. But other than that, I don't think I've even had a sniffle in 2 years, because you're not going all the places that you used to go to. Used to be you'd go to Disney World or one of the theme parks, and every third time you'd come back with some kind of a sniffle because you're exposed to germs that you're not used to being exposed to. So, anywho, let's see. Vomiting, food. Should we talk about diarrhea next? Oh man. Yeah, I never have sugar. Mitch, on the other hand, is a sugar whore. I don't think he has anything that doesn't have sugar in it. So, and a lot of it is that if you're not used to having something and then you have it, your body isn't used to processing it. He has it all the time, so he can deal with it, but I um, I don't like it. I don't like it. Oh, so what I was saying is, there's a grocery chain here in Florida and in the Southeast called Publix, and they're kind of the only game in town here. But they have this limited edition ice cream that is called Hula Hula, and it is, for those of you guys that are ice cream aholics. Hopefully, this doesn't trigger anything where you're going to have to go and run to Dairy Queen. It is, imagine like a butter pecan ice cream, but instead of pecans, it's macadamias. And it is crunchy, it is sweet, it is salty, it is all of the above. It is awesome. But the problem is if you serve yourself a small amount, for at least for me, the sugar kicks in, and then, well, you need more. So then you have a little bit more, and that's not good enough. You need to have more, and then the next thing you know, you eat half the half gallon or more. So it's like I don't need that in the house because it literally triggers uh, a cocaine reaction. I would imagine. I don't know. I don't know about drugs, but it's an addiction. And it's like I don't need that in my life. I'm hungry. What do you want to eat? Nothing in particular. That's awesome. I love not having cravings because the cravings can freaking control your life. So, yeah, that stuff's bad. That's back when I was younger. Heck, it's been probably, how old am I? It's probably been 20 years since I've had cereal for breakfast. And it wasn't kids' cereal that I had for breakfast, but honey bunches of oats or something like that. That's all kinds of stuff. But you serve yourself a bowl and it's totally full, and then you pour yourself milk, and then invariably there's milk left over, so you need more cereal. But then you pour too much cereal and there's not enough milk, so then you need more milk. So next thing you know, you ate the whole box. Because as you know, at least in the United States, the boxes of cereal are half freaking empty, right? So, I have had cereal in 20 freaking years or something like that, but that's what happens. You have too much of one thing. Well, you got to finish. I never drink milk. I never drink milk just to drink milk. It would be just like as a to put cereal in it, but I haven't had cereal in such a long time. It's ridiculous, and don't need it either. Again, that's one of those things. You wake up in the morning and then you end up eating something that makes you groggy and make you go back to sleep. No, I just have my yogurt, a banana, a protein drink, and some coffee that wakes the dead. Some anger-inducing coffee. That's how you get things done, right? Not a dirt nap-inducing sugar fest. Okay, I think we're done with this guy here. All right. I guess everybody ran to Dairy Queen. I don't really care for Dairy Queen. The daughter does. The place I didn't like at all was this place called Cold Stone. They sing to you while you're making your ice cream, and I'm like, that sucks. All they have is I don't even like chocolate things either. I'll eat them. I won't throw them out the window, okay? But I'm not a chocolate fan. I'm a fruit lover. I like fruit things, and I remember as being a kid. We're gonna put this away for a little bit while we do the other portion that we're gonna do. I remember as a kid, one of my memories as a kid in the mid to late 70s is we would go by Howard Johnson's, and they had ice cream at Howard Johnson's, and they had this banana ice cream that I don't like banana things normally because banana things are very fake tasting. But a real banana thing is awesome, at least for me. And so there was this banana ice cream that I remember fondly as a kid having, and I've never been able to replicate that. I mean, the Chunky Monkey from Ben and Jerry's is close, but it's got all those chocolate chunks I got to deal with. So I go to a Cold Stone, I don't know, a couple of years ago or whatever, and this is on our way back from a theme park or something like that. And I'm like, I'm gonna figure out what they got here, and they have banana ice cream there, and I'm like, well, all right, well, let me try it. And then I try it, and it brings back those childhood memories of that ice cream that I remember. So yeah, that stuff with just walnuts, spectacular. But I don't go and run and do that all the time. I don't even remember the last time I had it. But yeah, I like ice cream, but I don't want to be diabetic. So I try to avoid that stuff. I try to avoid because it gives me a headache and it makes me, makes me angry. Because yeah, I got a short temper when I have too much sugar. Okay, let's get these little spearmen here. Should be 8 of these boogers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, let's grab some pennies, which are useless, other than to do this with them. Ooh. Somebody was like, doing that with pennies is illegal. You're defacing money. I'm like, I'm never going to spend this stuff, you know? No, I'm not modifying a penny to look like a 10-cent piece, and yeah, that would be illegal. No shit, right? These are never going to go anywhere, and I keep recycling them. So, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 more. Try to get ones that aren't. Wonder if any pennies that I have here are like worth more than a penny. Well, that's the thing about anything collectible. Oh, that's worth more than a penny. So you go somewhere to sell it. Well, I'll give you 2 cents for it, even though it's worth 25 cents. Nobody wants to give you what they're worth, so. You have quite a few Italian ice cream cafes here. You sit outside if you get a table and you enjoy your ice cream while watching people walking by. Okay. There's no German ice cream? Germans aren't known for ice cream, are they? Just like Italians aren't known for beer. Yes, there's Italian beer, but it's probably as good as French. Is there French beer? There's lots of things Italians do well. Beer isn't one of them. They have good food, wine. What's that stuff that I like? I love that Di Serono stuff. What's it called? Amaretto. It's sweet as hell, but that stuff's good. What else? Shoes, firearms. I'm sure I'm missing something else, but beer's not one of them. Sorry, you can't be good at everything. They're not good at staying on the same side in an alliance. Oh, man. Mamma mia. I skipped cars on purpose because I don't know how cars are over there, Italian cars over there, but Italian cars here in the States are almost as bad as British cars here in the States. They might work fine in Britain or what have you, but here it's like you got to buy 2 and use 1 for parts. But the Italian cars that us mortals can afford, yeah, they no bueno. So. Italians make great ice cream. Okay. Well, that's food. Just spent 2 weeks in the south of France. I was surprised how common fast food joints were. Hopefully, they're French fast food joints because, you don't need to export all the crap. There's plenty of crap that comes from this country, okay? And that's one of them. I mean, why you gotta have McDonald's everywhere? I mean, it's still the best Scottish food I've had. But That's not saying anything. Um, but hey, have your local stuff. You thought Tester's dull coat was banned. Go to Hobby Lobby. You're in the States, right? No, no, you're in. That's right. I thought you were somebody else. My apologies. Well, you look the same as the other guy. No, somebody just said there. There you go, Russell. You said dull coat, and I thought it was Russell. Um, it may be banned in the UK. I would just use something else that's brush on, you know. But yeah, Testers got bought by a company called Rust-Oleum, and Rust-Oleum is known for, um, well, I know them for people that do paint that is for exterior like metal doors. So like heavy duty uh, paint that can withstand the elements, industrial kind of stuff. And in doing so, they discontinued um, a lot of their colors and a lot of their lines. I think they discontinued the entire acro line, which I was actually using at one time for the base color because I like water wash up. I like water cleanup. It's just you open the sink and you have an unlimited amount of thinner. That's kind of what I like. It's not toxic. And what did I use recently? I did something recently, and I was surprised by the fumes because in this hobby, I'm not used to things smelling. Well, some of the players smell, but you know what I mean. I mean, just the stuff that I use, none of it has any smell at all. You can't smell a Vallejo paint, or they have no smell whatsoever. And what it was I think it was the cement. I was using the cement that for like models, where you put it on it and it kind of melts, and you put the two pieces together and it fuses them. Um, that has a strong smell. It's not a bad smell, but it's a strong smell that I'm not used to in my hobby anymore. I mean, I used to build models and all that stuff back then, back in the early '90s, but it's been, 30 years since I've used that stuff, and I'm not used to things smelling in products that I use in the hobby. So that was kind of caught me off guard. It's horrible. I don't go to that place anymore either. They've screwed up too many orders. When you're like, I'm going to go through here, but I'm going to make it really simple so these people don't screw it up, and they still screw it up. You know, no. And it used to be cheap and bad for you. Now it's bad for you and expensive. So there's a couple places I just won't go anymore. My daughter will be like, "Hey, can you pick me up some Subway on that way home?" I'm like, "Nope, I'm not fighting with those people. I'm not fighting every single time they put something down. Can you put a little bit more than just one piece of spinach?" It's like you work at a fast food restaurant. I would think that you wouldn't care how much you would give the customer, but you can't just give me. I can't keep. What's the word I'm thinking of? Hounding them every single time they put an ingredient down. I just don't have it within me to do that. After I've already done that all day at work. So, but at least what's happened here in the States is there are so many people in the last year or so that didn't go out to eat for anything that now every restaurant's full all the time, and they can't get enough workers to work at them. And I'm not acting really any different than I always were. So I see the difference. So laughing my ass off. I don't know what you're laughing about. Elaborate. I knew I'm funny, but what exactly tickled you pink? Any chance you found a pope on a portable throne in 15 millimeter? No. The closest thing is the Zyston miniatures for Antigonus One Eye, but I'd have to order it. I'd have to wait for it to come in, and I got to order it from the UK, which now the shipping is just stupid. It just stupid. Um, the service is still good. They still ship fast. The UK ships faster than the people here in the States. the shipping has gotten prohibitive. I was going to order something from Alternative Armies, and I forget what it was. And their shipping had always been reasonable, and I think it's something like 30% of your order. I'm I'm sure I had it wrong, but it was a very large amount. I was going to have to spend like $15 to $20 to get something here to me, and it's just like, no, I don't need it that bad. I mean, if I had to, I will. I mean, before, well, what was it, like 10 years ago? 10 years ago, the only place in the UK that was expensive to order shipping wise was the old Donington, and I can never remember what the hell they're called now. Ancient and medieval purveyors of whatever it's called, but it's the old Donington. I ordered 2 elephants. I wanted to get my Ptolemaic elephant that they made one. Donington made a Ptolemaic elephant that was a bush elephant that had the right tower that I liked. And I went ahead and got a Seleucid too. And I think both of them cost like $15, and it was like $15 shipping, or it may have been like $20 shipping. But everybody else in the UK, the shipping was equivalent to the US. And then just in the last year, well, you guys know what happened. And I've heard different stories about why that is. But I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, didn't look like 8. 3, 6, 8. Okay, right. Let's move these guys off to the side. We gotta wait for them to dry a little bit. I could go ahead and paint them now. I just don't want to run the risk of getting the super glue everywhere. Essex was crazy price for shipping. Most everyone else is reasonable. Have you tried, Russell, you're here in the States. Have you tried using C&B miniatures? They're C&B miniatures, and they're based in Washington State, and they're supposedly the stockist for Essex in the US. They charge a flat $5.10 per pack, no shipping on it. I mean, obviously, if you abuse the system and just order 1 pack from them 1 week, and the next week you order another pack from them, they're just one, they're going to probably not do that because it does cost them money. But I ordered my Amorites, and it was just the price of the figures. And I got really good. My only gripe with them is I'm spoiled in the fact is when I put an order in, I expect to get an email saying, "Hey, we got your order," or and then when you shipped it, they tell you when to ship it. And I didn't get that from them, and it kind of left me hanging like I didn't know when it was coming. I still got it within a week, but I kind of fretted for no reason. I'm just spoiled in that respect that I'm used to doing that. I do not buy overseas from Essex. C&B is on my hot list. Okay. Yeah. So their catalog kind of sucks on their site. So you just go to the Essex site, and oh, look at this guy. He shifted. He's all the way over here. He's all the way on this side of the penny. You insolent little turd. No, you can't have that, because as I'm moving the figure around in my hand, I'm going to brush up against him and unpaint him as I go. So, I don't know what I was saying. I forget. But yeah, I used C&B miniatures one time, and I had good results. So now that I know that they don't correspond like that, I'm good. I just, I was worried for no reason, But they're good. And I just don't like Essex Army packs. I like their figures. There's Essex figures in here. I'm not a big fan of doing an entire army with them because they have that same repeating face over and over again, which is okay, but not everybody in your army to have that face that's kind of a prominent face sometimes, and then your whole army has it. But I mix and match stuff, and their stuff is fine. Oh, I don't know why the guy flicking the bird is here. Bye-bye. All right, this is the guy that is glued last. So let's make a mess. I like this material, but it's messy. And it's because of the top here. And where is the little... Here it is. That little tray that I use to put this stuff on. Because you don't need a wet palette for it, but you do need somewhere to put it. Yeah, so I'm glad I had a good experience with C&B Minis, so that's good. Took about a week to get it. I ordered it on a Friday, and I received it on Friday or Saturday. I was out of town for my birthday, and they apparently had mailed it out on Monday. He never told me, hey, it's in the mail. So I was wondering, if they had even gotten the order. So I would still rather pay more and go to a physical store because then you're not worrying about what state something's in. Like, did they get my order? Did they do this? Did they do the other thing? Do they have it in stock? Are they going to send me 4 of the 5 packs? I don't have the 5th pack, so I won't be able to start it. All those variables that drive us all crazy. I have enough variables at work. I don't want to bring them into my personal life. Okay, this guy's over here. We'll base these guys in black, and then we'll go and put these guys on the stand with epoxy. Epoxy is your friend. Noble Knight hasn't taken us on a palanquin. The reason I didn't, and Noble Knight is reasonable for us in the States on their shipping. The reason I didn't get him on the palanquin is because the figure's fine. I mean, it's Zyston. None of their stuff is bad. And sometimes they're a little big. Okay, who cares? All right, they'll be fine. The problem is that the guys that carry the palanquin do not look like what I want. I'd have to heavily modify them. And oh my gosh, look at this brush. Can you guys see this? It's like a brush that took a left turn in Albuquerque. Holy crap. Chinese brush. But anyhow, the problem is that I have to modify the guys picking up the thing the palanquin too much. Now, I've got these monks, these warrior monks. Let me show you one of them. If you watched any of my video yesterday, you would see that they were in it. This is a perfect guy to carry the palanquin. The problem is I only had 3 of them. So I just gave up. I'm like, we'll build a little palanquin on the ground. We're gonna put it on a little. We're gonna paint a little rug. Put that on the ground, and the Pope is gonna be standing there in front of it. Because the other thing is it can also be too big. Because I refuse to put the guy not on a 40 by 40. I'm not making a 40 by 80 stand because it looks okay, but it plays super weird. In DBA, a 40 by 80 stand, like a war wagon stand, just plays dumb. There's just different, you can only contact on one side, but you have this big long thing. Just weird things happen. It's not it's too big issue. It's just when it goes into combat, it just behaves strange. So, yeah, I described yesterday what I was going to do with this. There's going to be a whole host of folks on here, probably 7 or 8 of them on here, including, I think I have a little altar boy type kid here. We're going to have guards on all 4 corners, and so we're going to have the Pope, probably his, we'll call him the gatekeeper. Everything's got to go through the gatekeeper. 4 guards, so what's that, 6? And a little boy. I may not put the little boy on there. There might not be enough space on there. Whatever, so. Anyhow. Enjoy your evening. Yep, you too. I am now. Now that I got home, it's enjoyable. All right, so let's go ahead and I've mentioned this before, but I am not one of those people that is defined by what I do for a living. As a matter of fact, after the last couple days, I don't think I'm going to talk about what I do for a living anymore to anybody. I don't want to relive it. So it's not that exciting anyways, but I'm not defined by it. That doesn't mean I don't want to try to do a good job while I'm there, but the last couple of weeks have been extremely frustrating. So we're not going to talk about that. But I am not one of these doctors or lawyers or whatever that is defined by what they do for a living. I'm not, you know. I'm defined by my hobby more than anything else. So it doesn't mean I don't try to do a good job while I'm there because it feels good to do things right. It's like painting. You could be like, well, I could do a shitty job or and be done quick or try to do the best I can. So you try to do the best you can because at the end of the day it feels good. So, oh, you're keeping tabs on me. That's right. I did forget about the kneeling guy. Yeah, there you go. There's the extra one. I don't think I'm going to put the woman with a purse on there. She might be in the camp or something like that. Lady of the Night. One of the Pope's bitches. Pope during this time were horrible people. Well, everybody was horrible people. But yeah, they had mistresses and which I guess there's nothing wrong with, but if you say you're not supposed to and then you're doing it, priests couldn't marry, but they still had kids and oh well. Oh well. Yeah, the kneeling one, definitely. Thank you. I would have remembered when I would have put them in there. That'll be my first Corvus Belly figure that I've ever painted. There's still a couple of figure companies that I've never painted anything of them for different reasons, and none of them are because I dislike their products. I just hadn't gotten around to them. Forged in Battle, haven't painted any of those. Haven't painted any Lurkio. I've never painted any Legio Heroica. I've never painted any. Who else am I missing? A lot. Um, that's the only ones that come to mind right now. And the really old school ones like Lancashire or the really old school. What is it? Peter Liang. I saw some of those figures. Man, those are primitive. I don't know how long. I don't know how old those ones are. Maybe if they're from the 70s, but yeah, I don't want to paint them at all. I don't want to paint them at all. I saw some that were for sale recently, I think on eBay or something like that. And I'm like, nobody's going to buy those things. Still, a better sculptor than I would be, okay? But, you know, that's a bit primitive. My biggest gripe with Essex is their posing. None of these guys have that problem, but occasionally, they're knights. They have guys that are like a guy mounted on horseback, and he's facing to the right, and he's holding his outstretched arm to the left. Like, I'm here for battle, but I don't want to have anything to do with this spear. It offends me. It's like, okay, it's okay to have one guy in that army, but sometimes you will have a whole host of people that have in one awkward position. It's all right to have an awkward position figure, but when it's 75% of the poses in your army, it's just really weird, you know. Um, which pope am I doing? The Italian one. Innocent the Fourth is what it's going to be based on. It's going to be based around the time period. Now, it's not exactly because some of these knights are earlier. Whatever. I did a smorgasbord of different things, but basically the war between Innocent the Fourth and Friedrich II, Hohenstaufen. That's what the plan is, and we're going to roll into the Hohenstaufens. Maybe not exactly next, but that's going to be a Sicilian list, so that's going to be an interesting army. And his son Manfred as well. And Kurisan makes figures for them. So I've never painted any Kurisan either. I've said this before. Kurisan just started too late. If they were out 10 years earlier, I would have had their stuff. But by the time they came out, I've collected so much lead that I don't, that I can't really justify buying more figures. So, but I'll buy them for that. And it's nice that they're in the States, so the shipping isn't cost prohibitive. But I've seen their figures. I like them. It just How about two dragons? I got some two. I picked up some two dragons. I picked up a host of two dragon figures from someone at a convention that I know. They wanted to get rid of them, of their samurai, and I actually have some of their Normans as well. I haven't painted any, but the problem with the two dragon figures is they're very different than the Peter Pigs, which is what my samurai army's made out of. I'm not opposed to mixing them. They won't be mixed on the same side, but I do need to do my conversion, my 3.0 conversion for the samurai list, so those guys will end up getting painted. But I haven't gotten around to doing that yet. The problem with the samurai army is it's just kind of, even though it's really cool looking and it's kind of fun to play, it's kind of monochrome. It doesn't have a lot of a variety of troop types. So I just haven't gotten around to doing that yet, and they don't have a ton of enemies, so it's not that I don't want to do the 3.0 conversion for them. It's just I just hadn't gotten around to it. There's more exciting things to do than them. That's the only that's the only army I bought and then turned around and painted it immediately after buying it, not being sidetracked by anything else. I saw them for the first time at Historicon in 2009, got them and painted them, and they were ready by the next show, I think. I think that's right. Yeah, like these guys are small. These Naismith guys are small, but they'll be fine on the stand. I mean, it's not like people come of all different sizes, so we're not all made the same. So yeah, I have some two dragon Normans. I have some two dragon that I picked up from this gentleman, and some two dragon samurai. I like them. They have a unique look and I happen to like that look. They're a little larger and more difficult to kind of mix in with other stuff, but they'll work. Mitch Wetton. I got him before Mitch had the bought all the Normans. He's got a Norman army, so that kind of kept me from doing them. Not that I won't do them, just it's not a huge incentive to build an army that somebody else that you play with that somebody you play with frequently also has. So bedtime. See you later. Okay, Mr. Peter. All right. Now the spearmen should be ready to go. So let's base them, and then we'll roll in the knights, and we'll stay on them. Now, these will be the next guys I'm going to paint the spearmen. This guy's got a Pinocchio-looking nose if I've ever seen one. Not as noticeable on that side. See if I can get a good shot at it. It doesn't look good in the video. In person, it looks different. You know what it looks like? All right, we're going to test your guys' movie skills here. It looks like the nose that was on the child catcher on Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. How's that? Kicking it like it's 1968. For the longest time, I thought that was a Disney movie. It's not. It's an Ian Fleming movie. So that was a movie we watched a lot as a kid. So the child catcher. I know some people were mortified by him. It's like, we're just gonna put you in a cage. It's not like he was gonna touch you inappropriately. Oh, you're one of them, Rick. He just wanted to put you in a cage, man. I know he was kind of Gestapo like, wasn't he? So apparently, the guy that played him was like an Australian ballet star. He was like an Australian dancer. He was like, I think I got that right. Hey, if I get it wrong, I'm human. But yeah, he was some kind of a ballet guy. But yes, a lot of people had that reaction to him. And that's actually a really good movie. Um, I watched it relatively recently, and my daughter loved it. I mean, yeah, it's got dorky stuff in it, but his dad, I'm off to India, my boy. Oh man, yeah, we watched that one a lot as a growing up. And the backstory of that one supposedly is that there was so much backlash for Dick Van Dyke doing his bad Cockney accent that he plays an Englishman in that, and they just said, just don't do an accent, just do your regular voice. It's like everybody has an English accent except him in that. So, hey, it works. You forget that as a kid, but I don't know. His accent wasn't that bad, but I'm just a stupid American that doesn't know any better. So, I know I listen to some of those Cockney type accents that some folks in the UK have, and I don't know what in the world they're saying. Um, those UK accents that are, I forget what you guys call it, whatever's on your news, your standard, there's a name for it, the standard common dialect or whatever. Yeah, I understand every single word of that. But you start getting to those regional ones, and I'm like, I don't understand what you're saying. You know, I'm sure it happens the same thing with the accents we got here in this country. That's the same worldwide. So there is a series. It used to be on Netflix. It's not a Netflix series, but it was aired on Netflix that Mitch turned me on to. It's a mafia series called Gomorrah, and it's in present day basically, and it follows kind of a family, and it's very slow, but it is very. Is it bloody? I don't know. It's worth watching if you're into mafia stuff. Okay. So I figure, okay, I can speak Spanish. I can almost read Italian because it's almost the same. I'm like, I'll just try. I put subtitles on everything, so that's not an issue. I put subtitles anyways, but I'm like, I'll be able to pick some of it out. I don't understand a damn thing they're saying. And then I mentioned it to somebody on one of these shows that I was doing, and they're an Italian person, and they said, "Oh yeah, well that's because they're speaking with a Neapolitan accent. It's very difficult to understand." So yeah, it happens in other countries where there's regional accents that are just really difficult to understand. Um, but I know those the Scottish and the Irish ones can just be just really difficult to follow, really difficult. Because along with all the pronunciation, you've got all of the um, what's the word I'm looking at for the different words that they use for common things. So, which I don't know what they are, so I pretty much watch everything with subtitles, even if it's something that I understand, just because I don't want to miss what's what's being said. Have you ever tinkered with a DBA Army's list? I painted some Ashigaru Teppo units to try out. I did. I have Ashigaru Teppo guys because I don't know if you're aware of, but over 10 years ago, I expanded the list to Renaissance period for a lot of the army. So I built 3 units of Teppo for my samurai, but that's it. That was all based on 2.2 in the days of 2.2. I have no plans on doing that for 3.0. If I do a conversion one time, it'll be a completely different game, and I'm not in any hurry to do it. I'm afraid. I'm afraid that if I do it, I will enjoy it so much I won't want to play regular DBA anymore, and I really don't want to do that. And the main thing is, if I'm going to do a Renaissance type game, anybody who has weapons that shoot will shoot in it, whether they're skirmishers or not. They might have a really short distance. I mean, it may be half a base width, but they will physically be away from the other stand and be able to engage them in shooting if they have that type of a weapon. And light horse would be different. And I'm just afraid of, I don't want to open that can of worms. We're going to try something tomorrow. Yes, on Friday, we're going to have a game session tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to film it live because of just picture quality. But Mitch and I are going to play test a game that we're running, a DBA game that we're running at the next show that Scott actually came up with the idea for. He got it from, he says he got the idea from a set of rules. And it's a thing called the Blind General. And in a nutshell, what that is you roll your own pips in a dice cup, and then you, boom, put the dice cup down. And you can't tell how many pips you rolled. But your opponent takes a peek and says, oh, okay, he rolled a 4. All right. So you as the player don't know whether you rolled a 1 or a 6. And you start moving things like, okay, I'm going to move these guys for 1 pip. And then, okay, am I done? Nope, you still have more pips than that. So you don't know how many you have. And we're going to try that tomorrow and see how it works. Received pronunciation. Nice. That's what it is. I heard it called one time, and I thought it was called perceived pronunciation, but received. I'm taking your word for it, man. You got front row tickets to that show over there. So, yeah, the standard accent I understand just fine. But it's all over the place. Like, I get on my little bike thing, my little Peloton thing, and a couple of the people are from the UK. I can't understand what they're saying. They don't have a very polished accent. Sorry. Hey, there's ignoramuses over here too, so I'm just saying. And I'll morph, okay? So I'm not allowed to go to a place like Boston. My wife says you're not allowed to go somewhere for a long period of time to people that have annoying accents because I'll pick it up, and the next thing you know, I'm talking like one of them. So that's my morphing ability. Yeah, some people have much more polished accents than others, So, yeah, the people that are on that exercise thing, their accents aren't very polished. Not like what's my girlfriend from over there? Kate Beckinsale. Holy cow. She has a beautiful accent. But anyhow, yeah, some of them are just difficult to pick up, as I'm sure they are in all places. And if mine is difficult for you to pick up, well, maybe I can pretend to be from another region and it'll be easier to understand. fanning, fanning about. Well, that's the way that's spelled. It's spelled like a Middle Eastern word, but if I pronounce it, it almost sounds like it's Australian. Fanning about. Oh man, love it. I guarantee that if I spent a month in the UK, I would have, well, I wouldn't have a proper accent. It would be some kind of smorgasbord thing, but things stick to me like that, you know? So, I'll say it again though. I prefer US pronunciation, but British spelling. I like the British spelling of things. But I'm never going to call the post-Roman Empire the Byzantines. Never. And by mentioning it doesn't mean I just called them that. Nobody throws a stone till I give the word, even if they do say Jehovah. Blasphemer! No, it's not. It's not like that. I don't say. I don't say Byzantine. I can't do that. That's probably the biggest offense to my ears. Oh man. You guys watched a video the other day. You heard Scott trying to torment those of you across the pond with what did he call them? Gloucester. He's doing it on purpose. Of course, it probably would have been better than Gloucester. Oh well. You retired last September. Congratulations. I'll be right there with you in about 17 years. Gloucester, of course. I said it right when I said it. But then, I also listened to the War of the Roses book, spoken by the author, Dan Jones, who does an admirable. No, did he do that one? I don't know if he did that one, but he certainly did the Crusades one. He's excellent at pronouncing all the words in all different languages. He pronounced the Spanish things right. He pronounced the French things. I guess he pronounced them. It sounded right to me. Yeah, just make an effort to pronounce things correctly when you can. You retired last September and picked up the paintbrush after 20 plus years. It's all your fault. You're welcome. Thanks. What is the difference between 2.2 and 3.0? Last time I played was in the early 90s, 1.0. So 1.0 and 2.2 are similar. They both work with inch movement. And the biggest difference is, I can't speak for 1.0s. I only played 2.2. 2.2, it seemed like, could have been a much better game, but they dumbed down like the abilities of all the units because it was saved, like their special skills or the things that were different, they were saved for DBM. It was almost like, DBM has all the cool bells and whistles, and you'll get to experience them as well when you get to play DBM. Well, some of us aren't never going to play DBM because it takes too long, too many figures, even more complicated, takes too much time. We didn't want a deep bow to behave the same as a regular bow, and it did. It did in 2.2. So, all blades were the same, all auxilia were the same. It didn't matter whether they were base 4 or 3s, they just were. All hordes were the same. All the bows were the same. It didn't matter whether it was 3 figures on a stand or 4 figures on a stand or 8 figures on a stand. They all behaved exactly the same way. And it was just dumb, and I just dealt with it because that's the rule set. 3.0 added more into and the biggest problem I had with it was with the inch movement. Knights And since you have to measure all the damn corners, knights can't move very far, like at 90 degrees. They just didn't feel like they were very mobile. So if you had a knight like this, he advances 3 inches, he can go here. But if he's going to make a turn, because you have to measure all the corners, he might only be able to get to like here. And it wasn't as polished enough. So, so I would never go back and play 2.2 now. Now, I have to go back and see exactly, but I'm going to say 700 games of 2.2. So it was just annoying that, DBM would have all the special rules for an eight bow, but you had to base them like an eight bow, but then they would behave exactly like a different bow. And it was just annoying that it was like, you don't get to experience that until you play DBM. And we're just never going to play DBM, not because it's not a wonderful game, but because it's taken us hundreds of games, maybe even more than hundreds of games to get most of the stuff we're doing in the game correct. And it's just extremely frustrating and unsatisfying to play a game wrong, at least for me. I think for Mitch as well. And some of you guys know these people that they will specifically play things wrong just because it gives them an advantage, and then want to call you on things when you're playing them the same way. That's like pistols at 30 paces kind of stuff for me. That's dishonorable crap. So I want to play an honorable game. So yeah, I never played DBM and never played 1.0. I never played any kind of ancients or medieval until 2.2 came out in 2000. Well, till I experienced it in 2004, and I haven't looked back. I don't play anything other than this game because it's that challenging, what have you. But the base width change was a great change. The game could be better, but it is what it is. We've had some great time playing it. We're going to continue having some great time playing it until we make our own game, which may or may not ever happen. It's not important. I'm interested. I'm a painter more than a gamer, so right now I'm motivated to paint this stuff. But I wouldn't change a lot. My biggest gripe is that I'm going to beat this drum again, and other rules have dealt with this. I haven't played those rules that do it. You've got a unit like this and you got a unit like this, and they go into combat like this and they stay in combat like that. What's the problem? Not this artificial having to line up. So it becomes very abstract. Making the game less abstract would be the improvement I would do. It's a fine game, but it doesn't feel like I'm playing, like I'm making all the decisions that a commander was doing. You play like Mongols in DVA, any version, and when you're done playing it, you don't feel like they were acting Mongol-y enough. But 90% of the game is exactly how I would want it. So it's not a gripe. It's just, just saying, But I don't really have I don't have an intention of doing it to make money on it. I've said it before. If I did, it would be, okay, this is how we play this DBA game, which would be called something else, but you still have to buy 3.0 and use the army list from it. Okay, so Phil Barker still gets his money. But I would have to do it in a way that what I did was copyrighted, so somebody couldn't just say, well, Tony won't sell it, but I'll steal his rules and sell it for him. No, that's not, money is not my object. I do things I don't like for money. I don't dislike gaming, so anyhow, it keeps cropping up from time to time that I get asked that, but I'm in no hurry to do that. I'm just enjoying playing this game, and yes, it could be better, but I think you spend too much of your time trying to conform and play an abstract game. Whereas I would like for the game to be, and it wouldn't last longer, I would like for the game to be, the contacting would be easier, more logical, easier to understand. and then maybe the combat a little bit more detailed. And what I mean by a little bit more detailed, like, maybe there's different kind of knights. None of it that would involve rebasing, but, just a little more. Not, it doesn't have to be, you still have opposing die rolls and all the stuff that works and pips and all that stuff, but this is just me thinking out loud. That's where I would have liked to have seen it, is it's just too difficult to do the conforming stuff. It just, a lot of it is like, well, this doesn't make any sense, but the rules say to do that. You know, anything that, I mean, we've shown a lot of new people how to play this game, so we know where we're coming from. So we get asked all the time, why do skirmishers not shoot at a distance? It's a legitimate question. That if you making these rules and said, okay, skirmisher stands shoot at a half base width, nobody would question it, right? But the fact that they can't shoot at all, or that light horse have no distance shooting ability at all, it doesn't make any sense to new players. And anything that I would have to explain to a new player, and I would have to use the argument, well, it doesn't make any sense to me either, but these are the rules, I would change, because you're agreeing that there's a problem. Now, I'm just not in a hurry to do that because, you know, fracturing the community. One of the things that's strong about this game is you can go all over the world, and for the most part, most people play the same way. And then you can just get down to putting your toys on the tabletop, rolling some dice, having some fun interaction with someone that you've never met before from all over the world. And I wouldn't want to compromise that, you know. So, but that's just me. Some other people have, not going to mention any names, but have modified Phil's work and charged for it. I don't have a problem with modifying his work, but you should give him credit for it and freaking not charge for it, you know. But you could do whatever you want. I'm just saying that, it never would have occurred to me to do that. Because it's not like, okay, I'll sell 10 copies of this game and I never have to work again. Because that might sound too good to be true, right? Because, not exactly enjoying what I'm doing Monday through Friday, but just on principle, I would never do it. So, because it's not like you're going to get rich off it. It's just, it sends the wrong message. Okay, I'm a big fan of sending the correct message. Like, if I would not go to a war game show and wear, you guys know what these things are. They sell these T-shirts that have Panzer unit designations on them, like the art. Well, the freaking Germans were like pros of marketing. I mean, like them or not, they were really good at that. And they had cool symbols and all that kind of stuff. But it sends the wrong message. Even if you're using symbols that don't have the crooked spider on them. It's one of my favorite phrases from the little girl from The Sound of Music. It doesn't offend me because I know what it is and I know the person's a war gamer. But some passerby, what if you encounter some veteran? I mean, every day you encounter less and less of them, but somebody in their 90s and whose buddies got shot up by the Second Panzer in the Falais pocket or something like that. It sends the wrong message. So, anyhow, yeah, be careful what message you send. Yeah, it's very different from one of the first models I built, not the first one because it wasn't a snap together kit, but one of the first glued kits I ever built was a Stuka. It was a Stuka done by a company called MPC here, which was a rebranded Airfix one. And this was in the early 80s. So back then there was none of this. You couldn't have a crooked spider decal on your in your model. I mean, it's just a model kit. I'm not promoting that ridiculous ideology. It's just a model. And I always thought the Stuka was a cool looking plane. It is. But I don't have a problem with putting those type of markings on a model kit that's representing something historical. It's not like I'm promoting that sort of mentality, but I wouldn't want to wear a T-shirt with a Stuka on it that has a crooked spider on it. I'm fine if other people want to do it. It sends the wrong message. And I've had no one in my background who has been through World War II. My dad was young, but he was in Cuba. So it's not like they got attacked by a blitzkrieg there, or that he knew anybody who was attacked by the U-boats around there. But still, I get it. It sends the wrong message. So, but banning that stuff on a model kit, that's stupid. Um, but I don't know. How did we get on this subject? But hey, I just tell it like it is. Use common sense. That's what we used to do way back when. I'm not sure that everybody does that now, but okay. Last Spearman. How would I handle pike and shot conversion for DBA 3.0? Without a rules lawyer, shot equals base width ranges for samurai ECW. I have a ton of samurai. I don't know. I don't want to get into it. When I did the Renaissance conversion, it was based on DBR, which used did not mix units on a stand. If I did it now, I would make, okay, here's your stand and there's 8 figures. Obviously, it depends on what the unit is. A tercio would not be this small. But just thinking out loud, a tercio could be really big. It might be 80 by 60, 80 wide by 60, and have a ton of figures that look kind of in the same formation. But, it would just be a different way to look at it. Shooting distance, it depends. I mean, are they arquebusiers? Are they musketeers? There's different distance of those things. It would be that not every army would be the same size. So some of the armies might have 10 elements, some may have 14, but not really any more than 9 to 15. I mean, it would just depend. I mean, you can't have, if you've got like a Spanish Low Countries army, you can't give them 12 elements and 5 or 6 of them are freaking tercios. You'd never break them. So there's got to be some kind of a balance, and you kind of have to find that somewhere. It might even be one of those that I don't give people army lists. Like, here's what all the units are, and then you can make up historical battles on your own. It's not necessarily would be compatible for tournament play, but to be honest with you, if I went back into it, I'm not particularly interested in the 1600 stuff. So it would be mostly, 1500 things. That's kind of my period. Once you start getting into the 1600s, you start having units that kind of are a little bit more uniform in the way they're dressed, and I kind of lose interest a little bit. And, there's other games for that. But, again, I'm just brainstorming, talking out loud while I'm painting this spearman, but if you're interested in the Renaissance period, I'll say this again, I've mentioned this before, and you have a computer, I highly recommend that you try a game called Pike and Shot by Slitherine. And it's actually was put together by Richard Bodley Scott. Richard Bodley Scott was was the co-author of DBA 2.2 and earlier. I believe he helped on 1.0 as well, but definitely 2.2 with Phil Barker, and he was the one that created that worked on the Field of Glory stuff, and the current Field of Glory game that many of us are playing online and in tournaments and stuff like that. And I think Pike and Shot does a very respectable job of handling that period. It's an inexpensive game. I think it's available sometimes even for less than, because they have sales, for like around $10, and it's worth every penny of that you pay. So I've gotten kind of my fix on doing Renaissance play in that. But, like Swiss pikemen. Swiss pikemen can't be the same as regular pikemen. They're going to be better, but you're not going to also have as many of them as another army. There's got to be some balance. So, yeah, a lot of the things, if I made a conversion, a DBA style game, would be very similar to the way pike and shot plays. Um, so, so you're already playing my game. I'm just not in a hurry to do that. Um, Working on rules is not something that I love. I love doing the research on figures and painting them. This is therapeutic. This keeps me from sane from work. Working on rules would not. And having to defend myself, like, being put on trial, like, well, why did you make Swiss pikemen that way? And I no, I'm not a fan of being put on trial. So if you don't like the way we do something, then just do it a different way. I'm not forcing anybody to do anything. Just because my favorite color green is green doesn't mean it has to be yours. I don't try to control other people, and I demand the same treatment. Not even expect, I demand it. So, okay, I know we've missed something, but we're going to come back and redress this. This is stuff that we're going to work on over the weekend, these spearmen. That's definitely. So, what I foresee is 2 units of spearmen, each of them with 4 figures. Their shields are going to be the same. All 4 of them will have the same shield. And of course, their garments, well, they're all have a helmet. The helmet will probably be the same color. But, what kind of, I guess these guys are wearing hose. The hose, the shoes, the tunic, that's all going to be different on each one of these guys. They're peasantish guys, so they're not going to have, we're not going to have bold colored folks, you know. Um, but they did get equipped with the shield. So 4 of them will have one shield, the other 4 will have another shield, same kind of thing. That's thinking out loud what my vision for them is. All right, I've got to use the little boy's room, and I'll be right back, and we'll start basing some of these knights up. Okay, love that game. It's a great little game. It's a great little game, and uh, and the computer's fairly challenging. It has the same problem that Field of Glory 2 has when you play against a computer is it doesn't react to you until you get within a certain distance of it. So you could basically have your way with it, line everything up however you want, as long as you don't run out of time, because there is some time on there, and then have at it. But once you get within um, a third of the board or something like that, they start reacting to you. But you have a set of WRG rules for 15th to 17th centuries by George Gush. Yep. Yeah, I don't mind Clay. I don't mind the brainstorming. That's kind of my whole mentality between. I am more of a painter than I am a gamer. And that doesn't mean I don't like the game, but there's if I never. It's probably a bad example. If I never game this, it would be okay painting them. No, it wouldn't because I'd go back to doing models, and I don't. That's the same problem with models: is you build stuff and you never do a damn thing with them. But I can get my gaming out by playing computer games, Xbox, whatever it is, I can get my game out. It doesn't have to be with this, so it's not like I need to do all that. I have George Gush's painting guide thing. I don't have his rules. So if you have a link to where that, if that's still available somewhere, Kevin, let me know. I might think about picking that up at some point in my life. Yeah, that was vague enough. Um, but I don't like to read rules. It doesn't mean that I don't like playing by the rules. It's just as I've gotten older, work stuff has gotten more complicated, and it's not that I can't handle it anymore. It just isn't worth it anymore. I don't know if that makes any sense, but as you get older, there's more stuff you got to do, and you got to figure things out, and it's all written in language you can't understand, and I really don't want to bring that into my personal life. That doesn't mean I don't like to play by the rules. I do. It's very frustrating to not be able to play by the rules because you misunderstood something or it's not written as clear as you'd like for it to be. It's got nothing to do with, oh, I want to make my own rules and abide. No, that's not me at all. It's just I don't want it to be so complicated that that would take me hundreds of games to play it right. Several people have recommended to play DBMM. I'll never do it because unless somebody's going to run a game of it, I'm not willing to spend hundreds of games playing the game wrong before playing it once correctly. I just don't think it's fair to the. Just don't think it's fair to it. And I've said this before, I don't think I'm going to play another Phil Barker game. And it's not because he's not a good guy or he's smart or he's not a, he does good rules, but I just can't suffer that language anymore. It's not the language, it's the punctuation. It's too many thoughts in one sentence. And it doesn't mean that I think he's not an intelligent person. On the contrary, I think he's brilliant. But the way his book, the way nothing's ever repeated, and it may be listed in a place you're not expecting it, and just having to do this confusing semantic archaeology. There, I'm gonna trademark that. Semantic archaeology. It's just not worth it anymore. I just, I mean, by the time I learn how to play DBMM correctly, I will just come up with my own rules. And they may not be as good as anything that comes from Phil Barker, but people understand what I'm talking about. Again, not to poo-poo him. He writes in his certain way that he wants because he feels like it. He's a nice guy. Had the pleasure of meeting him once. He's like a grandfather I never met. I never met any of my grandfathers, although they wouldn't have been English. But that's beside the point. He's a nice fellow. But I've played him. I played him once. He beat me. He does not play his game as hard as we do. We like to, as I like to use the term, we like to get milk out of a brick. We try to get everything we possibly can. And is it gamey? Sure. But I'll admit it's gamey. And you guys have you probably played some opponent that wants to do gamey things and then admit, oh, no. It's not gamey at all when they do it. But when you do it, it is. Again, pistols at 30 paces. Maybe 10. We want a resolution after all, right? Pistols at 10 paces. I fortunately do not have any people that are like that in our game group. I don't think I'd game with them if they would. Dishonorable, talking out of both sides of their mouth, folks. You assume that the playing fields are carpet remnants. I don't know if they're remnants. I had them cut, but yeah, that's what they are. Yep. I use 2x2 and 30x30. We let the attacker decide which one it is. I think that's fair. I think too many things favor the defender already. So the attacker getting to choose how big of a front they're attacking on is only fair. But we don't play on the 30x30s much. It's a lot easier to be used to playing on a 2x2 and then go up to the larger size than get pulled down to the smaller one. You know, I like the deployment of the smaller board better. I wish the larger board was more restrictive in deployment, because you can still deploy even farther across. I think, and I'm going to go by memory, standard units can deploy like 9 across on a, uh-oh, I got a message here. Let's see if this is what I think it is. Let's see. All right, hold on 1 second. My wife sent me a message, and I think this is the link to where they're going to be later on tonight. And she did it through Facebook. I know some of you guys don't like Facebook. That's fine. Don't go on there to argue about stuff. Use it for your hobby. I think it has done wonders for our wargaming hobby. So she didn't send it through here. Crap. Let's see if I can do. So I don't know what you guys saw or what you didn't, but I'm here. I'm not going to leave. I'm just, she's texting me through the phone, and I'm filming through the phone, so it's a little awkward here. Let me check one other thing. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. Like I mentioned earlier, my daughter is competing in an event out in Colorado, and it's going to be filmed live, and she's going to send me the link. She just sent me the link, but I need to know what time it is, because I think it's going to be around 10 p.m. our time. So we're definitely, if that's accurate, we should be good for another hour. So. This is good. This is what I need to be doing, so I'm not. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself here. So I'm not sitting around watching TV, eating the house. All right. So while I'm getting ahead of myself, I need to figure out who's going to go on what stand. Definitely one of my favorite things to do. So. All right, so we're going to pop these guys off, and these guys are super glued down, but it isn't an issue. Good night, Clay. Thanks for coming by. You are most welcome. I like brainstorming. Look at that. Look how easy that comes off. You can't use super glue. Well, you're not holding your mouth right. It's easy to use. You don't have to worry about this guy popping off at the wrong time. It's easy to use. And then the next guy doesn't come off. Occasionally you get... Should come... Okay, well, when you encounter trouble, just move on in a different direction. The problem with super glue, I don't use it for gluing anything permanently, because as soon as it flexes a little bit, it's worthless. It cracks, and you don't get that bond anymore. So we're going to pop these guys off. We're going to figure out who's going to go where on what stand. We'll get the epoxy going, and then we'll glue these guys, and they'll be ready to goop, as I like to say. Put the basing material on. Now we may end up putting some banners on these guys. If we do that, it'll be at the very end, and if we do that, it will be very basic looking. They'll be hand painted, just little papal type of crossed keys or something like that. Papal motif. Okay, now back to Mr. Troublemaker. Not let one thing whoop your ass. Okay. Why is my Bluetooth on? Shouldn't be on. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and take my file, just for good measure, and make sure these guys are fairly flat. I don't expect to be much of a problem. Just if some of the glue stayed on here, but not on the other one. Okay. That's complete. Okay, so we got 2 stands. There's going to be 3 guys on each one. So here's my favorite part. This is the decision-making part. And I'm not being facetious. I really do enjoy this part a lot. Okay. So we've got a blue horse. We got a blue horse. They're not going to be on the same stand. That would be stupid. Okay. We have a predominantly white one, predominantly yellow one, and a kind of predominantly red. Okay, so there's yellow on the heraldry here of this guy, so I'm tempted to just move him over here. So these two, so you've got yellow here, yellow there. Of course, there's also yellow on this guy. This has, I'm tempted to put this guy over here. Okay, and then this guy over on this side, and then this guy here. So you've got that, so that you've got one of this type of helmet, one of this one, that's this kind, and this one here, and these 2 here, and then one flat top on each one. So that makes sense. The only thing I don't like is we've got red and yellow here, and we've got red and yellow there. So what if I took this guy and flipped him over here? Okay? And then that looks okay. So we got 2 blue ones on the same one. So what if we just take this guy and switch him out with him? Now we have one of each type of helmet here, one of each type of helmet here. We've got a variety of colors. We've got a variety of colors. Of course, we have some white striping here and a white-based guy here. I think this works better, though. I like this one a little bit better. Okay, fair enough. Now, this guy is charging. His lance is kind of in the way. I don't want him here because he could be poking. This has got to be the middle guy. The middle guy's got to be there. And say we put the guy with a rooster, easy to see on the end, and the guy on this one is this one. Okay, so how are we going to put this in? Well, we don't want to put the guy with a flat top right in the middle as well. So let's move him over here. Then we put the blue one in the middle. And then we put this one on this end. But it's the same figure behind the other one. So what if we take this one and move it here, and then move him here? I like how that looks. That's how I make decisions. In the first army I did, I didn't do it that way. I would pre-plan everything, like this guy's mostly going to be green, and I would write, I don't know if this is any of the original ones. Yeah, I would write little notes down here, like what color he was predominantly, or what color his horse was. I'm like, all that planning is just wasted time, you know, because there's no way you can do it. Just do a variety of things, and you'll be able to mix and match them when time comes. All right, so let's grab our little, well, we don't need that just yet. Let's get our little mixing thing here. I enjoy doing that I just did. Now I want to go ahead and lay that out before I have this epoxy all wet here because, time is of the essence once it's out in the open. It is 5-minute epoxy, and it sounds like, oh, that should be plenty of time, but it isn't. And this is DevCon epoxy resin. I got this stuff every bit of 10 years ago and used, it might be down to a third now. I've used a lot more of one than the other. That's weird. I never had a problem with it bonding. Okay. When you do it randomly, all the red shields clump together, all the yellow clump together. Do they? Well, this has both of them, so there's nothing you could do about that. I like it better than pre-planning. All right. Let's make sure we don't make a mess here. This guy, we're going to put him towards the back of the stands. I don't want this thing sticking out, and then they can't mesh well with the enemy, which is really annoying. Oh, will you rely on random picking? Oh, hell no. Let the runes decide. No, 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 no. That's why I paint the same pose. So if I have a guy that has the same type of helmet, I'll try to paint them all together so that it forces me not to do, oh, that guy with that helmet's blue. And then if you paint them randomly, you could end up coming back to that same helmet and it's also a blue guy. It's like, great. All guys with blue have the same helmet. I try to avoid that if possible. Okay. Well, these are more diminutive horses, so they fit on there just fine. So here is, now let's do one check here. This could be a problem with another guy. So let's scooch his ass back. There we go. Perfect. There it is. There's the Knights in Papal Service. I got to be careful that I don't say Papal Knights because they're not really raised by the Pope per se. He paid for them, and then they're just random dudes. Now, these spearmen will have the heraldry of. I'm pretty sure I'm going to do the Bologna on one of them, so I'm going to have a white shield with a red cross on one, and then the other one's probably going to have the crossed keys or something like that of the Papal States. That's what we're going to do. But these are guys that they just raised, and they decided to equip them so they would be at least a minimum level of competency. And, that's that. Let me go ahead and pull out the army list. I thought I had it here, and I'm having trouble finding it as of late. Wherever the hell I ended up putting my 3.0 book, I couldn't find it, but that's where my illegal copy of the 3.0 rules comes in handy. I made this copy a long time ago when I got the rules. Just figured, well, if I'm going to teach people how to play this game, then I don't want to destroy my copy of the rules in doing so. But I basically, what I found is I hardly ever use it because it's so darn heavy. But it comes in handy now as I don't know where the hell mine is. It's here somewhere. I just don't want to tear up my whole room. I may have left it at Mitch's. So let's look at these guys and see what they consist of, because there's other stuff other than these elements here. Okay. Okay, as a general, there can be a knight general. I specifically said I'm not going to build him anytime soon because the whole point using this army is to use a litter general. For better or for worse, that's the reason I picked this one. Okay, 2 Papal feudal or Lombard mercenary knights. Check. 3 Saloy. Okay, they're there. 2 mercenary spearmen. Check. 2 mercenary crossbowmen. I'm going to have to look into getting crossbow figures. I've got some, but I'm not sure that I'm really happy with what I have. And then another knight or a German knight that can dismount. Well, I could just use the one that's in my, whatchamacallit army. You found it for sale. What? Found it for sale by Amazon under George Gush's rules. Is it reasonable or is it some stupid price like $120 or something like that? I know, I've heard of people that still play them. I wouldn't plan on playing them the way they're designed, just. And then a Roman militia, it's either a solid horde or infuriated peasants, which is a fast horde. I'll be building the fast horde. I already have a solid horde I could use. Okay, so what I'm interested in is the unit that can either be a French knight or the German knight that can be a blade. What time period does that focus on? Because if I can be accurate, I'll be accurate. No, I'll be honest with you. I'm probably always going to use the blade. If I'm being completely honest. So, let's get the book. Let's get the DBM books. DBMM books. I have the DBM books as well when I was doing 2.2, but I have the DBMM books. This was my Christmas present to myself. And of course, they're out of register too. Like the writing's up here and like it's not in register. I don't know. It's printed by Lulu, whatever. 373. Papal Italian. So I'm looking for what time period did they use the German knights? German mercenary knights from 1234 AD. And after 1228, French mercenary knights. Okay, where does it say that they can be blades? Swabian irregular knights can always dismount as a regular blade. So Swabian German mercenaries are available before 1072. So technically, I can't use the blade. If I'm trying to build an army of around 1230 AD, I technically cannot use the blade. But you would know that just playing the rules the way they are. Okay, so I'm not going to go out of my way to paint a German blade stand. I can just use the German blade stand from my early Russians if they're done. Or build another stand of German knights just to go with them. Okay, well, that's fair enough. They're starting her age group. Number 1 is up now. They're number 16. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead. I do not want to miss my daughter performing, so we're going to cut it off there. It may be a little early, but I'm going to go over to my mom's and we're going to go watch this together. So I'm going to call it right there because I don't want to miss this. So anyhow, we got some stuff done. as I would have expected that we did. So, anyways, we'll catch you guys. What is it? Tomorrow is Friday. Probably won't see me tomorrow. So, $10 for Kindle. Kindle doesn't work for me. I mean, I like having it with me, but I like the physical rules. But we'll see. That's not too bad. Okay, folks. We'll catch you next time, and it definitely will be Saturday morning. We're going to have an extravaganza of a shitload of painting on Saturday, for sure, for sure. I can paint all day on Saturday. I probably won't, but usually if anything gets tired, it's my butt just sitting in one spot enough time. I don't get, the vision doesn't get tired, and the the fingering, the hand doesn't get tired from painting. But yeah, here these guys are. We're going to be gooping these guys probably on Saturday morning. So until next time, happy painting, and we'll see you guys on the flip side. Bye bye.